Hello everybody, my name is Will and welcome back to Sprocket. It has been a while because I have been on holiday and I'm back now. So yeah, let's just make a tank, shall we? Let's not dwell on any of that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in the past and we're going to design another turtle tank like we did a long time ago. So fingers crossed, this works just as well in geometric internals. So yeah, I've been away in Portugal, and it was pleasant. Anyway, yes, that is unrelated to tank production today, and today we are in fact building a turtle tank, as I like to call them. That's not a technical term, may I clarify. It's kind of one that I dubbed on them before, and I think a couple of people at least I've seen run with. I don't know if you guys like that term or not, but I'm going with it, so I don't really care. Yes. So, the idea of this thing is there is kind of a semi-turret on the front of the tank. It rotates with the gun in it, but it doesn't do a full 360 degrees of rotation, and it's at roughly the same height as the rear engine area of the tank. So, it's kind of got a wider field of fire than a solid, just structured tank destroyer, without having to have a full turret and therefore increasing its overall height. Obviously, it's still got to be tall enough for people to be in it, and this is a pretty big tank, so it is still fairly tall, but it's not as tall as a heavy tank with a turret would be. There you go. I can't really think of many more reasons that something like this would entirely exist. If you can, then feel free to let me know if you can think of more reasons. But I think we do a pretty good job with this one. I'm quite happy with how this one comes out. My main inspiration for this thing, unlike the last one, which was very much freehand, it ended up looking very British, I've gone a lot more down the routes of, if anyone's played World of Tanks, the T-28 concept is what I was going off for this one, so there's a lot of inspiration from it. It's not an exact replica, and the T-28 is completely made up as well. So not the T-28, sorry, the T-28 concept is completely made up. The T-28 is a real tank. There's also the T-28 prototype that's distinct from the T-28 and the T-28 concept. 3 different tanks, don't get confused. There's also the T-28. That wasn't built by America, that was built by Russia. Don't get confused, I swear. Okay, so if you're still with me at this point in time, after all that discussion of different variants of T-28, this one, don't worry, is not called T-28. It's called M14. Don't be confused with the carbine or the rifle. Where was I even going with the previous conversation? Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a big tank destroyer. It's got a 120mm gun in the end. I do say that, so kind of spoilers, but not that bad. You can imagine this thing as kind of contemporary to maybe the Tortoise and like the T-95. T-95 is the one that got built, I think, the Doom Turtle. Really slow thing, very big, loads of armor. Except this actually, it's quite quick and it's not as armored as those other tanks. You could convert some more of the tank to be better armored and just go a little bit slower, but it just turned out being quite quick. You know what I mean? Somehow, despite the size of this thing, it is fairly hefty. Like, it's filling up this ramp on which we're building the thing, and I wanted to make sure it was big, you know, wide and also long, because the height is going to be quite squat, so we're going to need plenty of space for stuff, so that needs to go somewhere. I don't want to, you know, end up making it way too small, which I have a bit of a tendency to do, but this time it won't happen, I swear, at all. Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with the inspiration for this, obviously I've done a video on this before, I've done one, but this is kind of more heavily based off the World of Tanks made up T-28 concept thing. So we're going to put a turret under this little covered section here, and hopefully that's going to start bringing this thing together, because at the moment it's looking a little bit strange, and I'm hoping that it'll all come together in the end. Just going to have to trust the process with this one. Things were looking a little bit rough at this point, I can't lie. You might be looking at this and thinking, oh my god, he's gone on holiday for a week and he's absolutely lost all talent, which is perhaps a fair statement, but I would like to come up with a rebuttal for that of I never had any talent to begin with. I have always been kind of dodgy at building tanks in this game. I just make it good enough for the thumbnail, and that's all I need to do, baby. No, I like my tanks. I'm joking. I'm joking. However, they are a little bit rough around the edges sometimes. Look, right? You guys put out like a week of work solid into a tank. I don't got a week of work to put in just tanks, man. I've got other stuff to be doing. So you get 1 day of work on a tank. That's all I have. So 1/7 of the time dedicated, and it's probably about 1/10 as good, which means every minute I spend, I am not very efficient. But hey, we have fun in the process, don't we? Because we come up with stupid ideas and just run with them. Speaking of, do you have any stupid ideas? Because if you do have any stupid ideas, you can leave them in the comment section below. I do read all of the comments, sometimes greatly to my behest. Some of you are very mean. However... if you do have an idea, feel free to leave it down there, and if it's good, I might do it in a video, and if it's bad, I won't. So there's your chance. You can also join my Discord, which is going to have a link in the description, and there is a suggestions channel in there. Not the server suggestions channel, that's for server suggestions. Suggestions, just suggestions. You can also put planes in there if you want to see me build something and fly out, which I've not done in so long now. I really need to get back to doing that, but it all takes time, but yes, fingers crossed, the upload schedule will return to some form of normality. And if you want to help in that, here's the smooth segue. YouTube memberships are now a thing. Very soon the Patreon is going to close in about a week and a half, I think it is. So if you are still a Patreon member, just please cancel. I don't want to charge you for something that I do not end up being able to provide, or just providing. And fingers crossed, we'll get a members stream at some point this week. No guarantee that it will be a Sprocket thing. It might just be some other game, but yeah, fingers crossed. A bit of work later. So what I've done is I've added a little ring down here. It's not an exactly perfect ring, but it kind of does the job. This is meant to be the, I don't know, rail or something along the lines. It just kind of felt right to have it. And then we have here the turret. So as this rotates, I mean, not that part, but as this rotates, as you can see if I turn off mirror, this will kind of be in there. That's not rotating from the point that I hoped it would. But yeah, if we grab this, there we go. You'll see it rotates within its thing, and we hopefully will be able to get like 90 degrees of rotation out of this. I've not quite paid attention to the fact that that is going to happen. Oh, that's awkward. Damn. Okay, there we go. We've got quite a lot of rotation now. You can go that far before it opens up, and that is... it's a pretty good angle either side, so I'll call that a win. What I'm probably gonna do now is just detail up like a driver's hatch, and I don't really know if I'm gonna bother putting side turrets on this thing. I was gonna, but oh, it's gonna take so long. And I also think this is the point in the video where you can start to see what I am going for. Obviously, those of you who play World of Tanks or have seen World of Tanks or know about the T28 concept, I don't play World of Tanks, but I do know about the T28 concept, so it does happen. However, those of you who know the T28 concept will know what I'm going for at this point in time, but those of you who don't, that thing at the front is going to be our semi-turret. It's got about 55 degrees of rotation either way. Not quite as good as the previous turtle tank we did, but this time we have to take into account the actual crew inside of the tank, which we didn't have to before. So yeah, it's it's got to be quite a lot bigger in order to fit people in, because the previous tank would just not have been possible. And if you want to watch that video, that's still up on the channel. I might remember to put a link in the description. I might not. If I don't find it, you'll be able to work it out. It's called Turtle Tank. Much like this video is probably going to be called Turtle Tank or something of the sorts in geometric internals. So, you know, maybe it'll even come up in YouTube's handy dandy little recommendation thing on the right hand side of your screen, or if you're on mobile, below the video, you know, there. And yeah, okay, cool. I don't even know where I'm going anymore with this commentary. It's got its weird little side machine gun turrets on now. I think these things really, really help. I'm glad I didn't get rid of them. They just kind of bring the whole thing together a little bit. The sides just feel empty without them. And what we're doing here is putting on our driver's hatch, which just about gives us enough room to get a driver in here. He's quite leant back, but I don't think it's too uncomfortable looking. I do actually make sure that the hull has a little bit of a lump in it, just so that you can stick his head in there and, fingers crossed, neither get hit by a shell and die, nor hit his head on the roof and die. Things that could very well happen if you were a tank driver, because that's... Is that what happened in tanks? I'm not a historian. What? I definitely think we're getting somewhere now. We've got a driver's hatch here. I use a cupola to kind of actually add a hatch. That kind of goes without saying. I've put some more I've put some more cupolas on the side here, and I've clipped in these little like Soviet machine gun turret things, because they kind of do the job of side turrets, to be entirely honest, without me having to put any extra effort in. So I got to keep the feature, but it didn't take me an age. Got a couple of engine vents up here. What I should probably start looking at doing now is adding armor to this thing, and it's going to be pretty hefty. We're already up to almost 11 tons, and that's with absolutely no armor anywhere. The front of this thing, I'm probably going to make, like, the thickest armor is probably going to be about 180 millimeters. That's probably going to be, like, okay, that's not quite what I meant to do. That's probably going to be here. But obviously we've got quite a decent shape, actually, in terms of angling from the front, so we don't need the thickest armor everywhere. So hopefully we can maybe aim for about 50 odd tons, something like that. Okay, armor is on this thing, and as you can see, it is pretty thick. At places it's like 1,000 millimeters thick. At the thinnest places it's like 180. The turret's only 150 here, so that's kind of the weak spot. The sides aren't too weak either. I mean, I've missed a spot there, but they're mostly about 80 millimeters thick, and then the rear 80 at the top and 50 at the bottom. So a lot of armor going on this thing, and probably enough to block most things from World War II from the front. Sides not so much, but that's not where it's meant to be getting shot, so fingers crossed, it's fine. The gun is in. We've got a mediocre 120mm gun. To be honest, we don't actually have that much room in the turret. It's going to be kind of difficult to get some crew members in here. I'm thinking I'll put the loader in this open area behind the turret, because they don't really need to be in there with the rest of the guys. And then we might just have to imagine a firewall in here. The edges don't really work. I might go and put these plates in, but yeah. So do you prefer the buildy bit, or do you prefer the interior buildy bit? Because they're both cool. I think I prefer the interior buildy bit. It's fun to watch where all the people go in this tank. And this was a true nightmare to get these people in here. This actual turret, even though the tank itself is quite large, the actual turret is quite small. So what I decided to do is I wanted 2 people in the turret. We've got like a commander and we've got a gunner. Commander maybe makes more sense to be a little bit further back, but the actual roles I assigned to these people in Sprocket are one of them rotates the turret, the other one fires and deals with vertical laying of the gun, and then there is a third guy. You can picture it, he's kind of stood behind this turret bustle thing going on, and he's feeding ammo into the breach from outside the turret where all the ammo is stored. So I think that makes sense. I don't know about you. I don't know if you agree. I don't know if you disagree. But you can picture it kind of like as if you had an anti-tank gun in a field, and then you put a metal shield around the front, like 80% of it, and as you rotate it, the dude is still there loading it from behind. He's not inside the wall, but he's still loading the gun. You know what I mean? I don't know. It would probably need some kind of a rail for him to slide it down, because it is quite a long way, and then probably also assistance from the guys inside the turret, just to make sure that that gun seals up properly and doesn't just blow all of the exhaust fumes from the cannon firing straight back into the firing compartment, because that would be fairly disastrous for the 5 people who end up in the top superstructure part of this turtle tank. Yeah. Driver might be okay. I imagine in real life there'd probably be a little bit of a firewall for that guy. But maybe not. Honestly, you'll see in a second, the driver is not in a much more enviable position based on where I put the bonus, spare ammo racks in this tank. He's not going to have a great day if the enemy end up penetrating the front of this tank. He'll very much not notice what's going on, I think, is the best way to describe it. He will go from a state of biology to a state of physics very, very quickly. Particle physics, specifically. Oh, poor guy. Okay, after an intense and very, very close fight with human Tetris, I have eventually fit the crew into this thing. As you can see, we got 2 guys on these side machine guns here. One guy who is the loader. We got a gunner and a traverse guy, I guess, and then what would probably be the commander, and he's also doing the turret rotation in this case, and then 1 driver. So there's plenty of people in this tank. There's 6 people in total, and 2 kind of, I guess, spares, almost. They could probably double up as radio operators if there's nothing to machine gun, but yeah, I think that's a pretty well complemented tank in terms of crew. Now, fingers crossed, we can get this thing actually running. We just need to add a couple bits and bobs. We haven't got any fuel at the moment, is one of the main things. And this is the last time you're going to hear from post-commentary Will here, before I disappear into the land of rendering and I push my GPU to its absolute limits and then do something for about an hour because my computer is completely impossible to use during the rendering process. But yes, we are popping in the fuel tanks. I do end up putting in a little bit of a firewall inside the tank just to prevent, if the engine sets on fire, fuel tank sets on fire, it gives the crew a little bit longer to get out of the tank. Probably not going to do a huge amount, to be entirely honest, with the size of the fuel tanks in this thing. But yeah, it's there. It's also not the best firewall in the entire world. I think there's a couple gaps in it, but yeah. Realistically, what I should probably be doing is like lining up some edges vertically and then selecting them and creating a face in between them, blah, blah, blah. Look, I don't got time for this. I do have time for this stuff. I'm just lazy. There's my excuse. I'm lazy. And that is good enough for me. I have run completely out of things to say. We put some fenders on. There we go. There's something to say. I also, for the first time, I used this like weird, almost like semi-spherical, forgetting the word, sprocket wheel. Sprocket. It's the name of the game. Goodness sake. Sprocket wheel. Which normally I find looks really weird on tanks, but given that this tank looks weird, it just kind of fits. It's like when you get like a really goofy car and there's goofy rims on it, but you're like, you know what? That fits the vibe. I can appreciate those goofy rims. Maybe you don't ever get that effect. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just my mum. But, oh my god, this commentary has been a mess. But I hope you enjoyed it, because it's over now. Past me. Okay, fingers crossed I've not forgotten anything. We've put a paint job on it. we'll just put a little star on because this is very, very American. We're going to hope that this just works. Have we remembered to do everything? I don't know, maybe. And here we go. There we go. We're moving. It moves. There we go. That means it's a good tank. The turret turns. The gun aims up and down. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And what is the fire rate like? That's about what I would expect for a 120mm gun. It's not amazing, but it's not the worst ever, to be entirely honest. I don't know what kind of a speed we'll be looking at with this thing. Probably not the most speedy thing ever. It's not as heavy as I thought it would end out being. It's about 40 tons, and there isn't a lot of ground clearance on this thing, to be entirely honest. It's kind of a bit of a lowrider, but I guess that's one of the benefits of this weird turret arrangement. I've forgotten to limit the traverse, is something I've done there. Okay, fingers crossed, that should now not rotate past the point at which you start seeing gaps. Ah, just good enough. Good enough. We'll go for a bit of a speed test, because why not? And we can't really use the guns to accelerate this thing. I think this looks really good, actually. It's a little bit weird looking, and that's kind of the point. Though I think with, you know, the weird subject matter, I've done about as good of a job as I really hoped I could have done. Maybe it does need a little bit more ground clearance. I'll just raise the road wheels up a little bit, because this is a little bit ridiculously low. It's quite quick, actually. We've hit 40 miles an hour here, and it's still accelerating, so yeah, pretty nippy, actually. I'm surprised by that. I guess I shouldn't be, because this is a big old engine, but it's a chunky tank. It's quite large, even if it's not particularly tall. Okay, that's looking a little bit more sensible on ride height. I've not changed it a lot, but just a couple more centimeters, just to make it so that it could realistically go over obstacles. In fact, we can test that. How does the suspension work? We'll do the, I think we'll skip the small one. With such a big tank that's honestly nothing. We'll do the medium one first, and fingers crossed it shouldn't struggle with this. That one, maybe. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Look at, like butter, honestly. No problem. Big ones, though, these could be interesting, because I think they are going to hit the idler wheel first, which in real life would be fine, but in Sprocket it can act a little bit funky, because the idler wheel doesn't really like to be hit. Yeah, as you can see. But, yeah, no, that's actually done quite well there. Okay, cool. Well, do you like this thing? Do you like turtle tanks? I know you all enjoyed it last time. I saw loads and loads and loads of these things on the subreddit, so perhaps this has inspired you to build your own turtle tank, or have another go at it in the Geometric Internals update, since last time we did this was like probably a year and a half ago, maybe not quite that long, but probably last year now. But yeah, cool. I like this tank. Fingers crossed you did. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the future. Bye-bye! And as always, a huge thank you to YouTube super members Marlon Gwecken, Stug3, and Terra, and remaining patrons Ambroise, Camdrem135, Cody NG, Pete, Gavoon, Gummaster929, Sad Cat, Last Agent 11, Rosselsbocken, Ryan Brody, Stug3, Terra, the Canesian Emperor, Werfsickle, and Zeit Wolverine. Thank you so much for your support, and remaining patrons, please cancel. Thank you.